The Pan-African Parliament sitting in Midrand today is expected to elect a new leadership following a strong tongue lashing from African Union Commission chairperson Moussa Faki Mahamat. Last year, the Parliament couldn't elect new leaders after proceedings descended into chaos. Members of the Parliament differed on the principle of rotation in the 5 regions. Our SABC International News editor, Sophie Mokoena, is standing by for us to tell us more about what's been happening at PAP. Thank you very much, Ms. Sophie, for joining us. Now, earlier, proceedings were delayed yet again by load shedding, but what's happened thus far?
Well, as you can see behind me, I'm going to ask Herbert to show you the visuals. Behind me here, the closed doors, it is only members of parliament who have been allowed to be inside. They are now discussing the process to elect a new leader, to elect the president of the Pan-African Parliament. You are correct. They couldn't start on time because of the power challenges. And when I arrived here, I spoke to a number of MPs from different countries, starting with Malawi, about this same issue of energy and food security on the continent. My question was around the fact that you have the important house now focusing on election of a leader rather than looking at issues that are affecting the continent, like food security due to the war in Ukraine and also the problem of COVID-19. And also, you have to deal with the issue of energy. You know, the southern region, some of the countries do get their energy from South Africa, and therefore, as a continent, we are supposed to be talking about those issues. But you have members of Pan-African Parliament from different countries now focusing on leadership. And I also spoke to the ANC representative here, Penima Jordina, on the same issues. And of course, he does agree that it is unfortunate that they have to focus on leadership rather than talking about the current issues. I did the same with the leader of the EFF, Julius Malema, who was even more scathing in terms of the delay here, but also the challenge we are facing as South Africa of energy, even questioning why you still have this leadership as the leader of ESCOM or leadership of ESCOM, both the board and the executive, while they have clearly failed to assist the country to get out of this misery. I remember very well in 2019 at the AU summit, the margins of the AU summit in February 2019, I spoke to President Ramaphosa then when there was that problem of load shedding. I think it was stage 5, where he said he was shocked and he had to dash back to South Africa to try and resolve this issue. But today, we still have those challenges, stage 6. And these are the challenges that you see around the continent. It's not only South Africa that is having this problem. Now, instead of these representatives of the people discussing these challenges, it's all about who is going to be the president of the Pan-African Parliament. But let's hope after they are done with elections, this matter will be off the way. And we know that yesterday, the Commission Chair of the African Union, Mr. Faki, was here, and he is still here to ensure that you deal with the issue of elections, and they are focusing on important issues on the continent. And he made it clear that the issue of rotation is quite important. It's been done at the AU level. The AU Constitutive Act talks about an inclusive continent, regional cooperation, and continental cooperation. And therefore, the issue of rotation is being done at the continental body, the AU, and it has to be done in all the organs or the institutions that are linked to the AU.
Yeah. So, Ms. Sophie, moving further afield, but something that would likely affect us anyway, as the Russia-Ukraine war is affecting us, the NATO decisions. talk of Sweden and Finland moving into NATO. Even I saw earlier that apparently the United States has established a permanent headquarters of its US 5th Army Brigade in Poland. A lot of maneuvering that's taking place at the moment. Do you think that these maneuvers make the world a safer or less safer place? Are we getting closer to the possibility of people using nuclear arms or not?
Well, to the leaders of North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is a treaty around military cooperation between the European countries and also America, it is a way to defend the territory of those countries that are members of the NATO and also the US. And they would even take this forward to say it is a way to maintain the world peace, to avoid a third world war. But for others who are opposed to the expansion of NATO, this is a provocation, because you know that we are where we are with the Russia-Ukraine war because Russia has been complaining about the expansion of NATO creeping into its own territory, and we ended up with the war in Ukraine. And now that Finland and Sweden are going to join NATO, it's the expansion. And you heard Stoltenberg saying that they are inviting other countries who feel strong and who wants to be NATO members to do so. And therefore, it's a provocation, but it will depend in terms of the power bloc, whether the West and the US are more powerful military and politically and economically to sustain this movement, or you'll have Russia and the allies of Russia standing firm. We know that it is for the first time the president of Russia leaving a Russia territory, visiting another country, and today he did just that. Since the start of the war in Ukraine, you can see he is also mobilizing those who are sympathetic to Moscow. And of course, we know that you have BRICS. In the BRICS nations, you have countries such as China who are not necessarily seeing eye to eye with the US, and therefore Russia is depending on its allies within the BRICS nation. But do the BRICS nation have that military might, economic might, political might to withstand the trauma and the provocation of the West and the United States of America? The nuclear issue is becoming a challenge. And I think now it is up to the United Nations Security Council to put a stop into this madness. But unfortunately, the UN Security Council, it's structured in a way that the big five, permanent five, have a final say in whatever you say. So whatever is being put forward as an agenda within the Security Council to try and manage these tensions, you have blocs emerging, the West either using their veto power or Russia and China using their own veto power. And therefore, the world is in a dangerous space right now. But let's hope that synergy will prevail.
Indeed. Thanks very much, Sophie Mokoena. She's our international news editor here at the SABC.